Hi, I'm Greg Green, and this is Crash Course U.S. History. Today we're going to look at the effects of wars between 1844 to present day today. Throughout this time period, the U.S. has fought for rights, land, and to preserve peace and stability. These effects from these wars have altered the way of warfare, life back at home, and foreign policy.
Barnacles! What could be worse than a giant paint bubble?
Oh, I know! 2 giant paint bubbles!
To start off, we'll take a look at the Civil War. We're under high tensions between both the North and the South. The South seceded and became the Confederacy. You don't need to know what happened throughout the war, but rather the effects. This war became one of the brutalest wars where the U.S. had lost more Americans than in any other war. Partly due to the fact that, it was the USA versus the USA. Either way, at the end of the Civil War, the Union was finally preserved, and in addition, blacks had gained their freedom. However, after the war, while blacks were indeed free, many were left with nothing. As a result, many started sharecropping with landowners, and it became a cycle of debt. The more they needed to start a profit, we see many fall deeper and deeper into debt. Although it was not seen as slavery, it was pretty much slavery but with extra steps. In terms of the economy, we saw the railroads, built and expanded for military supplies, now served the purpose for trade and boosted the market from a local to national market. While trade expanded, this caused farmers to see an influx in production. Farmers competing nationally now had to stick to one crop and reduce prices, which led to farmers to reduce again and again. And you see why this caused problems.
Why did you even rope me into this? Because he roped me into this. Well, him over there, he roped me into this. Well, he roped me into this. What about me? He roped me into this. Well, that one over there roped me.
As the United States' sphere of influence increased, we finally move on to a war to change how wars were fought. The result was where we were the last one standing under war-torn Europe. Although Wilson believed to forgive and rebuild, overall Europe and Congress pushed to punish Germany. The Treaty of Versailles called for Germany to pay for the whole war, and with this they were unable to have an air force and a limited army. Also within the Treaty of Versailles was one of Wilson's 14th point. This was the League of Nations, and most countries in Europe wanted this. Although Wilson was an enthusiastic proponent for the League of Nations, the United States did not officially join the League of Nations due to oppositions from isolationists in Congress. We were isolated, and because of this, we see Germany in a disastrous state, where they got loans from the US which they paid our allies with, and then our allies paid us with it. All of this set up a perfect stage for Hitler to rise to power, which leads to World War II, and for this, we go to the expert, Juan Verde.
Very isolated country during the 1930s, as they wanted to focus on their own country's economy rather than the uprising of imperialistic countries like Germany, Italy, and Japan. The people feared of what another war could do to the overall of the United States, and they had no purpose of being involved. But as Germany persisted on sinking United States ships, we found out about the Zimmerman telegrams. Great Britain told us about how Germany had been sending messages to Mexico wanting them to attack us. Then, on December 7th, 1941, Japan led an attack on Pearl Harbor. This was devastating, but it got public attention and attention to Congress to finally join the war. As this was an attack on America, with the public support, it made it so much easier for the United States to join and build a weapon like no other, the atom bomb.
Bonus round, Pacific Showdown, United States versus Japan. Fight. Finish him.
This bomb allowed us to completely destroy 2 cities in Japan, which were Hiroshima and Nagasaki. With the power of nuclear bombs, Japan finally surrendered, and it changed the ways of war forever. After the war, it was time to rebuild. With the United States being number 1 in trade, military, and overall with the power of nukes on our side, we were virtually untouched. This lasted for about 5 years until Soviet spies got their hands on the nuclear technology, and we see the beginnings of the Cold War.
Patrick.
I hate you more.
I hate you no matter what.
Yeah, well, I'd hate you even if I didn't hate you.
The Cold War never started a war with multiple proxy wars. It was between the 2 superpowers capable of destroying the world, the United States and the Soviet Union. President Truman, the current president, believed that the United States should preserve democracy and assist any nation that was fighting against communism. This came to be known as the Truman Doctrine. The United States took a stance against the Communist Party, and we contained and allowed the party to economically collapse. This is where we take part in Vietnam. Vietnam was at the midst of becoming a communist nation, and not wanting for Southeast Asia to fall towards communism, we had to intervene. Although we expected to win the war, the tactics of Viet Cong guerrilla warfare made public support for this war. Citizens didn't want to see United States soldiers dying on foreign lands for the Vietnamese. As the war keeps on stretching on, we see more and more public disapproval. The Vietnam War was an unsuccessful war campaign in which the people lost support very quickly because of the draft, unnecessary conflict, and economic loss. And on March 29, 1973, the United States left Vietnam. President Bush declares the War on Terror, in which the United States fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. Many believed that our security was too weak, and Congress responded with stricter security and fighting gun laws. Into today's society, we see a nuclear threat coming from North Korea. But with diplomatic relations improving, it seems the start of a long road ahead to a safer world.
Overall, the U.S. has been in multiple brutal wars. The effects of these wars give us a better insight for a better future, and to prevent similar mistakes. From 1844, we saw civil rights pushed forward. World War I reminding us that isolation isn't always the best option. World War II giving us mutually assured destruction and preventing the end of the world. And finally, as we move on forward, we will see what will occur. Thanks for watching. Low Budget Crash Course is produced and directed by Greg Venegas and Manny Hernandez. Script writers are Greg Venegas and Manny Hernandez. Producers are Greg Venegas and Manny Hernandez. If you like this video, hit that notification bell and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button.